Now listen, for a little while now, we've all kind of gotten used to the idea that you get your PlayStation games timed exclusive for the console, and then after a little while, they end up popping up on PC. I originally never thought that we would get to the point that we did. Even when PlayStation games started to drop on PC, I was like, yeah, okay, but we're never going to see The Last of Us on PC. We're never going to see God of War. Hell, we're definitely not going to see Spider-Man on PC. I mean, come on. I ended up being wrong about that, just as wrong as I was when I thought that you guys weren't gonna hit the thumbs up button on this video, but you definitely have, right? And so now, again, it's become the norm. We've all gotten used to PlayStation games coming to PC, so much so that a lot of PC players out there are just willing to wait. And because of that, it's sort of created this narrative that there's no games for the PlayStation, mainly because even those big exclusives that everybody loves and looks forward to end up coming to PC maybe just a year later. Well, things look like they are about to change. This is going to be affecting pretty much all PlayStation exclusives going forward, some that have already now come out as of last year, and as well, I imagine will be affecting Marvel's Wolverine, which comes out on September 15th. There were a lot of rumors that were circulating from some insiders that PlayStation is pulling back on releasing some of their games on PC, and now Bloomberg has corroborated this information and put out a major article confirming that, yeah, PlayStation no longer plans to release their exclusive titles on PC. There are a couple of caveats though for everybody who might be panicking a bit, so we're gonna get into that here in today's video. So the article here states from Jason Schreier that Sony Group Corporation no longer plans to release its big PlayStation 5 games on PC, a major shift in strategy that sees the video game maker returning to console exclusivity after 6 years of flirting with multi-platform releases, according to people familiar with the company's plans. So there you have it. That is pretty much your confirmation that that is exactly what's going to happen. PlayStation themselves haven't officially come out and made a statement about this, as I doubt they're going to. This is just kind of going to be the new plan moving forward from here on out. Now, there is a, albeit small, silver lining for some of the people out there who are hitting the big red panic button. It mentions here in the article that online games such as Marathon and Marvel Tokon will still be released across multiple platforms, but single-player titles such as last year's samurai hit Ghost of Yotei and the upcoming action game Sorrows will remain exclusive to PlayStation 5. So yes, Ghost of Yotei that came out last year will not be coming to PC. I mean, Ghost of Tsushima did, so we all kind of expected that Yotei would as well. Sorrows coming in April, also not going to be coming to PC, at least that is currently the plan. And then obviously, I think this is going to apply to Marvel's Wolverine releasing later this year. And weirdly, people started to speculate this with Marvel's Wolverine. When the game was revealed, whenever they started talking about it, they mentioned only on PlayStation 5. I'm trying to remember if that was verbiage that had been used before when they were games that were releasing on PC after the fact, but it really does sound definitive in that they had plans to simply have Wolverine and pretty much all their single-player PlayStation exclusive only be for the PS5 going forward. And while it is a massive bummer for consumers because it was such an exciting idea to have games like Spider-Man go to PC, I do understand that PlayStation just wants these games to be exclusive to the PlayStation so that, consumers have the incentive to even want to get a PS5. Because we were slowly teetering in the direction of, well, if I have a PC, I get everything. Xbox is already playing nice, obviously. You even get Game Pass over on your PC. Nintendo maybe is where you're going to be missing out, but PlayStation as well, having these timed exclusives means that you just have to wait a little bit longer to get all those major PlayStation titles. But damn, it is a bummer once again. I mean, there's so many cool mods that come to PC, especially for Spider-Man. The modders went crazy for that game. Hell, I even got to try out that multiplayer mod that they were working on for Spider-Man. That was so cool. Just imagine the possibilities that there could have been for Wolverine ending up on PC. One of the things that I loved the most about Spider-Man coming to PC, and what I would have loved about Wolverine as well, is if there was a suit that you wanted in the game that didn't make it in the game, the modders will most certainly have your back. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't look like that's what's going to happen here with Wolverine. So I'm bummed out from a consumer standpoint, from somebody who just wants more people to have access to these amazing games, but I understand from a business standpoint as to why all of this is happening. Unfortunately, it really does feel like that meme of there's no games on PlayStation was pushed a little too far, and PlayStation decided, okay, you think there's no games on PlayStation? Well, then how about we make all our single player games exclusive to PS5 from here on out? The thing that I am wondering as well is what is going to be kind of the after effects of all this. How long could this last? Is this just straight up the strategy going forward and that's it? We're not going to see these single player games on PC ever again? Or could this backfire? Could they still see maybe a market for PC and realize, hey, we should try to go back to this? I feel like maybe we're going to fall somewhere in the middle where there's going to be certain titles where they're like, this is going to be too big to not have exclusive for the PlayStation to incentivize people to want to buy the console, but they're going to see other titles, maybe not necessarily just multiplayer ones, where they're saying, you know what, I think we can share this with the PC user base. Jason Schreier's article kind of hinted at this as well. The sources mentioned to him that they cautioned that things could change in the future due to the unpredictable nature of the video games industry and that Sony's plans are constantly shifting. But in recent weeks, PlayStation scrapped plans to bring Ghost of Yotei and other internally developed games to PC. Two games made by external developers but published by PlayStation, Death Stranding 2 and the upcoming Kena Scars of Kazmora, are still planned for release on PC this year. So there you have it. Yeah, there's still going to be some titles that come to PC, not necessarily just multiplayer ones. And who knows, maybe that means that some of the non-PlayStation owned studios could still have games that are exclusively published by PlayStation, but end up coming to PC as well. I imagine in the case of Hideo Kojima, he kind of just does whatever the hell he wants. If he wants his games on PC, PlayStation will say, yes, sir, absolutely. So it looks like, you know, if you wanted games like Saros, or if you wanted Ghost of Yotei, which apparently was in development for PC, but they then canceled it, well, yeah, you're not going to be able to get your hands on those games. And while we have no confirmation and there isn't an official mentioning of Wolverine here in this article, I think it is very fair to assume that Wolverine will fall under this same umbrella. I do find it interesting too. I want to point out one more thing here from the article that provides some reasoning as to why all of this is happening. It mentions that there are likely a few reasons behind the shift. One is that several recent PlayStation games have not sold well on PC. A faction within PlayStation has also expressed concern that releasing their games on PC risks damaging the console's brand and will hurt sales of the PlayStation 5 and its successors, according to people familiar with Sony's inner workings. Honestly, that is a fair point to bring up as well from a business standpoint, right? The PlayStation 5 has sold extremely well. I think we're like well beyond 90 million units. A massive, massive user base, no doubt about that. But if we were to be in this world or in this realm of all of these PlayStation exclusives are just essentially timed exclusives for the console and release on PC a year later, then as a consumer, it might make more sense for you to just save up, get a really good PC that'll last you several years and get all the games that you want, rather than just saying, okay, every 5 or so years, I'm gonna get the next PlayStation because I have to for the games. So while it didn't necessarily damage the current console generation and PlayStation 5s are selling relatively well, it could damage the PlayStation 6 if people are expecting that PS6 games are just gonna come to PC a year later. So again, from a business standpoint, it does make sense, sort of. You know, from a consumer standpoint, huge bummer. That's the report, and that's the news that I got for you guys here today. I'm sorry to all the PC players out there who love their PlayStation games. It doesn't look like you're going to get access to them anymore. And by that, I mean like the new ones. You're all going to have the PlayStation games that have come to Steam already still available to you. But with that being said, let me now kick it to you guys. Sound off with your thoughts in the comments section below. Are you bummed out to hear this news, or did you kind of see it coming? And also, how do you feel about this in regards specifically to Marvel's Wolverine? Sound off with your thoughts in the comments. I've been Caboose. I'll see you guys later.